Hello students, I hope you are happy and well. I hope you are taking good care of yourself, being safe, wearing a mask, sanitizing your hands all the time. Good, you are extremely important and you should take care of yourself in this trying time. So, let's start today's class. Today we are going to read a very interesting chapter, a very interesting poem written by T.S. Eliot. The name of the poem is Macavity, the Mystery Cat. T.S. Eliot, or Thomas Dunn Eliot, was an American English poet, playwright, and he was very famous for leading the modernist movement in poetry. He was awarded Order of Merit and the Nobel Prize for Literature in the year 1948. The poem that today we are going to read is taken from T.S. Eliot's Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. This book was published in the year 1939. The poem that we are going to read today is about a cat whose name is Macavity. Though he is a cat, he does not behave like a cat. Before we start the poem, let's understand the origin of the word Macavity. The poet has used this word in a very playful mode. He has played with words. Machiavellism is a personality that denotes cunningness, the ability to manipulate someone, a quality that we can observe in criminals, or also the people who assert for power, who make problems in someone else, who try to harm others. And cavity, the word cavity means hollow, a hole, something that is blank. So here we are going to read about a character who is both manipulative and is hollow. His soul, his character is hollow. That means he does not have any morals, any sense of morality. He does not think twice before committing a crime. So let's read the poem first. Macavity is a mystery cat. He is called the hidden paw, for he is the master criminal who can defy the law. He is the bafflement of Scotland Yard, the flying squad's despair. For when they reach the scene of crime, Macavity is not there. Macavity, there is no one like Macavity. He has broken every human law. He breaks the law of gravity. His powers of levitation would make a fakir stare. And when you reach the scene of crime, Macavity is not there. You may seek him in the basement, you may look up in the air, but I tell you once and once again, Macavity is not there. Macavity is a ginger cat. He is very tall and thin. You would know him if you saw him, for his eyes are sunken in. His brow is deeply lined with thought. His head is highly domed. His coat is dusty from neglect. His whiskers are uncombed. He sways his head from side to side with movements like a snake. And when you think he is half asleep, he is always wide awake. Macavity, there is no one like Macavity, for he is a fiend in feline shape, a monster of depravity. You may meet him in a by-street, you may meet him in the square, but when a crime is discovered, then Macavity is not there. So, let's discuss the poem. Macavity is a mystery cat. He is called the hidden paw. Now you will notice the word paw. As we know that all the animals of cat family, their feet are soft and velvety. There is a pad of muscle because they are predators, and so they can go anywhere without being hurt. Here Macavity, here the word paw is being used in the sense synonymously with hand. Macavity is called the hidden paw because no one can detect him, no one can connect him with any sort of crime. As we can say, as we say normally, that I can see your hand in behind this action. So here Macavity, as he is a cat, his hand is being used synonymously with paw. He is a hidden paw because no one can know if he has done the crime or not. He is a master criminal who can defy the law. So he always disobeys, he resists the law, he breaks the law. And he is the bafflement of Scotland Yard. Scotland Yard is the headquarters of London Police Force. The picture you are seeing right now is the headquarters of Scotland Yard during the time of T.S. Eliot, in the beginning of 20th century. The picture you are seeing in the right hand side is the newly renovated Scotland Yard. We can see another name, another police force's name is here, the Flying Squad. Flying Squad is also another part of Scotland Yard, who are also called the Mobile Patrolling Experiment. So these department, the Mobile Patrol or the Flying Squad, they do not stay in any precinct. Okay, they are always on the road and they have access to high speed cars, so that whenever they get news of any crime that is happening anywhere, they can reach there within a few minutes very quickly. So it's almost as if they are flying. That is why the phrase flying squad is being used to describe them. But however, Macavity manages to baffle or confuse the best of the Scotland Yard polices, and they make the flying squad frustrated because they can never catch Macavity. It doesn't matter how fast they reach the center, Macavity is never there. He always manages to vanish. Macavity has broken every human law. So he doesn't only break the law that is created by human beings, but also the laws that bind the human, that is the natural forces. So one of these laws is the law of gravity. All of us know that the law of gravity was discovered by Isaac Newton in the 17th century, and that is the force that keeps all our universe in place. The picture you are seeing right now, you will be able to see that the moon is there and it is circling around the earth, it is not falling down. The apples, they do not float or go up, they always fall down, and that is the reason we human beings, all the animals, are always sticking to the earth. We cannot float. But apparently Macavity has defied this law also. He can go above this law. What can he do? He can levitate. The word levitation means floating without support. And the poet says here that Macavity's power of levitation can make a fakir stare. The word fakir, if you notice it very carefully, you will see that this is a word that can be found in many Indian languages. This is a phrase, this is a person that can be found in India, as we are seeing in the picture. When Eliot is writing, or even before that, when India was colonized, many people from England used to think that India is a mysterious land, that people here have magical powers, and this thought was very implemented by these fakirs who apparently could float without any support. Nowadays, we know the trick that is used by these fakirs to do this. The picture you are seeing in the right hand side, you can see this structure which is actually hidden by the fakir's body. The fakir actually sits on a table but hides it through his manner. So it seems that he is floating without any support. Now, in the next stanza, the poet is saying that wherever we may search for Macavity, doesn't matter, we may never find him. And then the poet discusses the appearance of Macavity. He says that Macavity is a ginger cat. The color of Macavity is ginger. He is very tall and thin. And also his eyes are sunken in, as if he hasn't slept for many days. So that is why his eyes are sunken in. And his brow is deeply lined with thought. Look at the picture you are seeing right now. Whenever we are thinking something, we often make this gesture, don't we? We close our brows together whenever we are tensed or we are thinking something. And due to this is created. A few lines are created in our forehead. Macavity's forehead is permanently lined because he is always thinking, he is always planning about something. And that is why these lines have been etched in his forehead. And his coat, the dress that he is wearing, this is dusty from neglect. So he is always committing some crime, he is always planning something, and so he does not take care of himself that much. His coat is dusty, he hasn't washed it for a long time, and his whiskers are uncombed, and he sways his head from side to side with movements like a snake. Here we know that it is said that many snakes, poisonous snakes like cobra, they oftentimes sway their head from here to there, okay, from right to left, from left to right. Previously, it was thought that snakes use this movement to hypnotize their prey, anything that they are going to catch. Especially, we know you have already read before in class 6 and 7 about the fight of a cobra and a mongoose. So a mongoose and cobra, whenever they are fighting, oftentimes when the cobra wins, it seems that he has hypnotized its prey, the mongoose, because mongoose stops stirring. But nowadays we know, science has proved that this is not the case. The snake do not probably hypnotize its prey. But however, the posture, the swaying posture is being compared here with Macavity. So Macavity, he can manipulate everyone like a snake, and his character is also very snake-like. He is also very harmful to others. Now, there is an interesting thing. Whenever we are reading about this discussion, I would like to tell you that this character of Makavidi was actually inspired by a character, another fictional character created by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. As we know, Arthur Conan Doyle is the creator of world famous fictional detective Sherlock Holmes. And whenever we are talking about Sherlock Holmes, we talk about Professor Moriarty. This character and Macavity both have been described by their creators as Napoleon of crime. As you can see in the screen, Napoleon of crime. Eliot has described Macavity like that. Arthur Conan Doyle has described Professor Moriarty like that. Now, who is Moriarty? And what other similarities does he share with Macavity aside from the name Napoleon of crime? Professor Moriarty was described as Sherlock Holmes' arch enemy. He, for the first time, appears in the short story The Adventure of Final Problem. And then in this very story, Holmes describes the character of Moriarty. Just notice the lines given here in red. He says that Moriarty is extremely tall and thin. He has a domed forehead that is domed out in a white cave. He has deeply sunken eyes. His shoulders are rounded. His face is always moving forward, slowly oscillating from side to side in a reptilian fashion. Rings a bell? Let's see the poem that is written by our poet T.S. Eliot, the poem that we are going to read. See, in this very poem, how the poet is describing. He is saying that Macavity is tall and thin, Macavity's eyes are sunken in, also Macavity's head is domed, and Macavity sways his head like a snake, like a reptile, a snake. So, Macavity here is the reincarnation or is inspired from the character Moriarty. Interesting, isn't it? So, what are you thinking? That you should find this storybook, The Adventure of Final Problem, other stories of Sherlock Holmes, and also the Possum's Book of Practical Cats, and read them very quickly, don't you? I also encourage this. Read the stories and probably you will also be inspired to create some character of your own. Right. So, that's all for this lesson, student. I hope you have enjoyed and understood it. Again, be safe, stay home and take care of yourself.